I love that song. It's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Will you join me in prayer? We give thanks to you, loving God, for this moment in time that you have given us to come together and to celebrate your love. We affirm that you are opening our hearts and our minds to experiencing you fully, and that your words come through me as a meditation on our hearts, that it will be uplifted, that we are uplifted, that we are growing, that we are realizing and experiencing you in the fullest possible way. And for this we give thanks. Amen. So it seems, as the story goes, that after a long life and a very tumultuous marriage with many, many affairs, that Stan found himself in heaven. And as he was behind the pearly gates, he noticed all these clocks on the wall, and some were moving faster than others. And one clock wasn't moving at all, so he asked the angel, "Why isn't that clock moving?" And he said, "Well, these clocks mean, they represent the many times that we lie, and each time that we tell a lie, the clock moves. And the clock that's not moving belongs to Moses." And Stan looks and sees another one. It's only been moved twice. And he said, "Well, who does that belong to?" He said, "That belongs to Abraham Lincoln." And Stan said, "Oh, my goodness." He said, "Where is my clock?" And he said, "Well, we have that in St. Peter's office. He uses it as a ceiling fan." So today's message is Little Lies, Big Truth. And its foundation for me happened at the conference, the general conference this past year, the People's Conference for Unity Worldwide Ministries, just a few weeks ago. And at that conference, David Lewis gave a talk, and all the speakers that were invited to tell their stories. This conference was about telling our stories. One humanity, many stories. And David Lewis came forward and told this wonderful story about his growth. And David is a professional in the HIV/AIDS community, an activist, and he's also a minister. And he's growing. He's growing in his understanding of faith and truth. And he's only 34 years old. And in this growth, he talked about going to ministerial school, getting his master's in divinity, and then going on to a PhD program. And in that program, he came upon a teacher who said to him, "What do you know?" And David, being all of that, said, blah, 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 and started spouting off the things that he thought he knew. And the teacher said, "Yeah, what do you really know? What do you really know?" And that really got at the core of his essence, because what is it that we really know? And I remember, this took him into an existential search for what is it I really know. It made him question, what is it that I know in relationship to what do I believe? And I remember in my own life going through a similar existential search when I had a diagnosis that said, "You're probably going to die from this." And I started looking at what my belief system was around dying and about life after death. And in that, I discovered I didn't really know anything. I knew so little. I knew that I loved my family. That could never be taken or shaken from me. And I knew that I loved people around me. But what did I really know about God? What did I really know about life after death? Well, those were all beliefs that I chose. And I realized that I chose them because they brought me comfort. Up until that time, most of all my beliefs came from the learning from other people. People were just surrounding me with all kinds of information. And I took that information And I believed it. My parents gave me information, my church gave me information, and I believed it. It wasn't bad information, it's just that I started understanding how those beliefs came to me. So what is it we know? What do we really know? Well, I believe that there are some beliefs, and I believe that there are lies as well. We have lies in our world. And the three most popular lies is usually the joke, the check is in the mail, I love your hair, and let's do lunch. By the way, Ginger, we really are doing lunch this week. That wasn't just a let's do lunch. And I remember the I love your hair. So this was one of the funniest memories of my life. I was in a restaurant in Dayton, Ohio, 2 tables, and they realized that they knew each other. And the one table said, "Oh, sister, you got your hair cut. Who did your hair?" And she said, "Oh, Kevin from Hair Express. Do you like it?" And she said, "Oh, no, honey, he should be shot." And I realized in that sometimes even the popular lies we can't even go to. But we also have unconscious lies in our life. And we express them directly and indirectly all the time. One of them is, I'm not needed. And I'm too old for this. And the world is changing faster than I can adapt. And these really are the signals that the lies that we put out, that we tell ourselves because life is changing for us. Our life is changing. The circumstances around our life is changing. Our bodies are changing. Our relationship to the outside world is changing. I remember there was a time when we thought the joke was about understanding how to program your VCR. Now that seems so simple, doesn't it? Not that we really learned how to program it, but it was like inconsequential. Now it's like we're just trying to figure out our smartphone because it seems so much smarter than what we are. And that's the appearance. And the appearance is, I'm not good at something. I'm not there. I'm less than. And then that really sparks even 3 more unconscious lies that we tell ourselves. We tell ourselves that I'm dying. Or AKA, also known as, I am suffering. And my ability, I don't have time or patience for fill in the blank. We're saying sometimes my ability to focus isn't what it used to be. And I don't have the resources for it. I need to save my money for the future. I need to save my energy for whatever. We tell ourselves that all the time. And part of that reason is because we, as we age, get comfortable in the things that we do feel comfortable with. And we don't really want to mess with that comfortableness, do we? I really marvel at people as they age when they tackle something that's really big. I had an acquaintance in Honolulu in his late 70s. He was an organist. His entire life, he played organ. In his late 70s, he took on a very difficult piece as a recital piece that he was going to perform for the Honolulu Organ Society. And I really admired that because it took so much practice, so much focus and attention. And I know I would have been much rather watch Judge Judy than do all that practicing. But he decided this was important. And I love that. And sometimes that is what we have to do as well. So this comes to a message that I really want to share with you today. And this comes from Emily Cady. And all these quotes today that I'm using are from Emily Cady. And I'll explain a little bit more about her in a moment, except for the last one. So Emily Cady says, there is only God. All seemingly else is a lie. There is only God. All seemingly else is a lie. Every excuse that we put into the universe, that we express consciously and unconsciously, everything that we say that is not of God is basically a lie. That's kind of hard to accept sometimes. But let me tell you a little bit about Emily Cady. She was a physician of homeopathy, and she is one of the most revered and respected writers in the Unity Movement, teachers in the Unity Movement. And her first book, Lessons in Truth, I don't know if it was her first, but it is her cornerstone book, has sold, I think they said 1.4 million copies, which is really good for a New Age book, or New Thought book. And it is the language, the thoughts, the teaching, the truth in that is essential, is the cornerstone of the Unity Movement. Now, I look at Emily Cady as being both a traditionalist and a modernist, because she was a scientist and she wanted things proven to her. And from that perspective, she is a scientist. But she also had a traditional viewpoint that God inspires us as well, that inspiration comes from an outside source. And her biographer says, and I love this, she held uncompromisingly to the simple teachings of the Christ and their immense import. She was uncompromising in her thoughts and how she dealt with her thoughts. She lived her convictions. She lived what she believed. And to her, as the biographer says, to her, whatever appeared to contradict her convictions was either negligible or laughable. Now, many of the teachers from that era, and actually many of the great teachers today, are uncompromising in their thoughts. They don't allow those thoughts that are unproductive to get in the way. They don't allow the lies to come in. And when the lies do come in, they take action immediately. Emily Cady believed in the omnipresent power of God. God was everywhere present. And anything else other than God was a lie. Now, I wanted to show you a picture of what I think Emily Cady would be if she had a makeover today. I think, I go back to that stern picture, and I think she'd be really relaxed and full of it. She also says, whoever is suffering today from sickness, poverty, failure, any kind of trouble, is believing the lie. And we do that. We all do that. We have moments where we believe the lie because the lie seems so big. It seems so real, doesn't it? I got to tell you, when my shoulder is hurting from whatever is going on, it feels very real that I have a pain in my shoulder. It feels very real that there is another presence there other than God. I've chosen to rebrand it as something else, and I'll talk about that later. But in the moment of the pain is very apparent. And what she's sharing with us here is that when we believe in both the lie, when we believe in both the challenge and God, when we have that belief that there is both in existence, there's a duality that comes about from that. Both and. And what she's saying is, no, there's only God. In the midst of what we're experiencing, there is only God. And she says that when we hold the belief of both disease and God, we're held in bondage. When we believe that they're coexisting with one another, that we're held in bondage. She said she used to believe that God was everywhere in both places simultaneously. And she realized that there was a limitation to that. That there was only so much manifestation that was going to happen when she believed in both. But when she believed only in the good, only in God, that is when those miraculous powers, that clarity, that purity would come about. There is only God. All seemingly else is a lie. She went on to talk about that we are free from all sickness because God, who is perfect life, unchangeable and indestructible, abides within, completely fills every atom of our body. And she talked about how every cell that is in our body is perfect and whole, and how cells build and grow and build and grow, and that they're all perfect, that we understand them to be all perfect, that they are all an expression of love. They're all good. There is only God. All else is seemingly alive. Now, can God be present in challenge and disease? That was the question I had. Can God be present in challenge and dis-ease? Well, God is always present. I'll say that. In this last week, we had an opportunity to hear a testimony from Linnea Fay, who is the niece of Chuck and Sharon Hoffman. And Linnea gave a testimony about her daughter, Haley, and Haley's heart problem. So her daughter was born with a hole in her heart that was only enlarging. It wasn't getting smaller. And the doctors told them that she was going to have a congenital condition and that she may need a heart transplant. And as Haley progressed and was asymptomatic, the doctors kept telling them that. And this revolutionized Linnea's experience with God, because she began to go deeper into what is good, because that news about her child seemed so horrible to even consider. It seemed like this was a sentence of some sort. But as she went deeper and deeper and deeper in this, she understood that God is only good. That only good can come from this. However it manifests, it is only good. Even if it manifested in a way that wasn't to her personal physical liking, even if Haley died through this, she understood that God is only good. And she got that. She believed in God's goodness. Haley, by the way, was running around here very healed, very perfect, and they are in the process of weaning her off her medications. They can't explain it. We can. God is only good. You know, Myrtle Fillmore talked about her healing, and she said that her healing of tuberculosis was instantaneous. It just took her body a while to catch up with the healing. So sometimes in our healing, sometimes in that path to wholeness, to experience that there is only God, we get it. There is only God. And sometimes our bodies take a little longer to catch up to it. That's just how it goes. Now the truth is that all which is not good, all that's not God, is no thing, nothing. It is the lie, and has to be definitely characterized as such in order to disappear. It is merely an appearance. And I would suggest that God is in no thing as well, as there is no place that God isn't. And two negatives make a positive, at least in the laws of mathematics. So what I have come to understand is many mystics have experienced God in the nothingness, And when we are in that experience, that appearance of nothingness, that God is present. And it is, we can access and avail that. There is only God, and that is not God, and that is not God is no thing. That is, it has no existence. The God is the substance of all things, visible and invisible, and is omnipresent. There is no such thing as the lack of God or the lack of substance any place in the universe. God is present in all things. Good is present in all things. Good is present in all aspects of your life. We believe and we claim it. Love is present in all things. And that, what is to be and already is, must be spoken into visibility. And these are words of Emily Cady. Practice realizing that all good you desire is here, now, all present. What I got from this was a reframing of understanding that when my shoulder is hurting, the reframing is I'm moving towards wholeness. The healing is happening. God has healed me. Shoulder's got to catch up to it, but it has happened. And that when we are going through the challenges in our lives, it's learning to reframe, understand them differently. When we start thinking that, oh my gosh, we are deteriorating, or we're not understanding as well as we once did, or we don't have the cognitive functions that we once did. It's human stuff. We are still, God is all good, always present in our lives. That is our basis. So Emily Cady puts forward both a denial and an affirmation in this. She says, when the lie appears, when anything but love appears, you say, you are a lie. Get to where you belong. There is no truth in you. And she follows it with, there is only God, and God is fullness of good, life, joy, peace, now and forever. Because God is in us, as us, through us, at all times. Now that's the basic message. Excuse me. That's what happens when you have a cough drop in your mouth. That's the basic message. Now, this is the tip, the extra 50-cent piece that you get for being here. And it came about because as I was exploring about the lies and God's goodness, I thought, there are times that things come up that we are in conversation with people and people want a response from us. And we don't know quite what to say because we can't say, oh honey, no, they ought to be shot. We have to think of something else, don't we? Eric Butterworth said, let something good be said. Magnify the little bit of good that you see and emphasize it. Talk about it as something that you should live and grow. Whenever you have something good to say it. And when you have something ill to say something else. And we all remember Thumper's advice. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say nothing at all. So we reframe what we're going to say. And so as occasions arise in your life and people want something from you and you really have to stretch, find the good in it and praise it. Find the good in it and praise it. Dear ones, will you join me in prayer? We thank you, loving Father, for your magnificent good in our lives, for always being present. We thank you for reminding us to turn away from the lies and only look towards the good, towards you. We claim that this is so in the name and the nature of the Christ. Amen.